best free effect plugin number 1 for creating synthwave music is the Szechuan Saturator, which is what you see right here. So this is really simple. You've got an intensity, a mod rate, mod depth, output gain, input gain, and then a mix knob here. And I like to use this on my basses. So we'll listen to this bass without it and with it in. Now I haven't come across, I don't know if it's a glitch just for me or what, but a lot of times this output knob gets like reset. Like I'll pull it back and then it goes up again. Because this can add a lot of gain, which we don't want to do. I just feel like it helps, it makes the bass a little bit less boxy and also makes it a little bit grittier and brighter, and just makes it a little bit more sizzly. So that's a really cool, and you can use this on a lot of different sounds, but that's just one place where I like to use it. Now, before I get to free Synthwave effect plugin number 2, I just want to let you know about my free Synthwave sample pack. You can grab that in the description below, or go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/starter pack. And not only does this give you tons of amazing vintage 80s drum machine samples, but you get a whole bunch of other free stuff for creating synthwave music as well, including Serum presets, Vital presets, and presets for other free synths. So a whole bunch of free sounds for creating synthwave. You don't want to miss these. Grab them in the description below, or go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/starter pack. All right, synth number 2, or effect plugin number 2, is Beat Slammer by Baby Audio. I've got that on my drums here, and here is how it looks. This is basically a free version of their iHeartNY parallel compression plugin. And so we can hear what this does. We'll turn it off, then turn it back on. It basically just really pulls up the drums, puts them more in your face, because it's mixing it in that really heavy parallel compression. So rather than having to set up parallel compression yourself, where you have to bus it to another track and set up the settings and everything, it's just kind of like a shortcut, a really easy way. You just pull up this plugin, it's free, and you can get some nice parallel compression on your drums or wherever else you want to use it on. And so we can see we can really make it extreme if we want to. So the y-axis, you have the wet, dry, and then on the x-axis, you have the amount. So we could have like a really high wetness, but have only a slight amount of actual compression going on. And then we can increase the amount. Sorry for your speakers. So we're really crushing it down here. And then just barely mixing it in. So that's pretty good. Plugin number 3 that is really awesome is also by Baby Audio, and it is right here called Baby Comeback. It's basically the free version of their Comeback Kid delay, which is probably like my favorite delay out there. So you can see it just is basically the same thing with less customization, less features. So you don't get the shaper up here where you can high cut and low cut or emphasize the attack or the sustain. You don't get the flavor control up here, but you kind of have a simple version of the flavor if you want it to be wide or analog, saucy or cheap. So kind of a simplified version of like the flavor and the stereo here kind of combined into these 4 controls here. And then you still got the output here, which is really cool. You got the ducker control, which is really powerful. And we can still set it to ping pong, straight, triple, whatever, dotted. So we'll give it a listen here. So that's pretty cool. It's just a really cool way of getting kind of a more analog style delay. That also gives you a lot of control. So for example, if I use the analog control here, you getting a more of a dirtier more vintage style of reverb or delay, I should say. So we could do like dotted eighth note, might be a little bit easier to hear. And then the ducker control is so huge because you don't have to set up, you know, an aux track to bus it to and set up sidechain compression. You can just use this ducker here. And what this will do is it will duck, it'll turn down the volume of the delay when the dry signal is playing. So when each of these plucks is hitting, you don't get that delay tail muddying everything up. It only comes in when nothing is playing. So you can hear with the ducker all the way down. You're hearing those plucks right away, those delays, those echoes right away. But if I turn this up, now you hear the delay. Now you hear it after the fact. So now you can strategically use it just to fill in the gaps, which will make things a lot cleaner, less muddy, and just more professional sounding. So this is a really awesome free delay plugin. Plugin number 4 is Drift by Baby Audio. As you can see, Baby Audio has a lot of great free plugins for creating synthwave because a lot of their paid plugins are great for creating synthwave. And Phase is just this control here from their Super VHS, which is their paid plugin. You can come in here and control this. And by the way, all these plugins are in the description below. I also have some of the premium versions as well in the description below, and those are affiliate links, so I'll earn a small commission at no extra cost to you, which really helps support this channel so I can keep making these videos. So we have Drift here, what's called Drift in Super VHS, but this is, I believe, just the phase control, because what this does is it adds different like phase issues. So if you want more degraded, lo-fi sound, this is really cool. And you can imagine this would be really fun to use with like automation. Right, maybe in the intro or something. I mean, if this paid version, you can even add in some static, like VHS static. But this isn't a video about paid plugins, this is about free ones. So, but that drift alone control is really cool that you can use. And I just didn't feel like downloading the free one to clutter up my hard drive with more plugins. So, but this is the same control here as that free Phase by Baby Audio plugin, which I don't think I added it to my list, but another free plugin that Baby Audio has is this magic button tool here, which is just this button from the Super VHS plugin here. And so this is like a big like chorus tool here. So let's listen to that. So with this, without it in and then with it in, it's a lot wider and chorusy. And then the mix knob would also come with that. So maybe you can like blend that in. Just makes it feel a lot bigger, wider, and more 80s-ish. So that's a really cool plugin as well, which I didn't include on my list, so there you go, bonus plugin as well. Free plugin number 5 is Tape Cassette 2, which is what you have right here. This is really cool because if you want to get some of that tape saturation to your tracks, which again was everywhere in the 80s because they weren't recording to computers, they were recording to reel-to-reel tape machines. If you want some of that tape saturation, this is a really great one here. And we have some really nice presets in here too, so you can get like a lo-fi sound. Oh, you can hear that noise. So that'd be like right here. Whoa, that's loud. So we can turn that down maybe. So I got this on the drums. Good crunchy coating. Just makes stuff a little grittier, a little warmer. There's also nice recording, which is a little cleaner. Oops. Downside is it definitely makes things a little bit darker, so you might want to like EQ after, or maybe that's what you're going for. But if you want a way to make your clean, pristine, you know, digital mixing in the box sound a little bit more analog, a little bit more gritty, then this is a really good plugin for that. Which takes me to plugin number 6, which also is a saturation plugin, and it is Cinematic's Origin. And this is really cool because you got different kinds of saturation. You can add cassette saturation, micro cassette, reel to reel, or vinyl. So I think I have this on my pads here. So let's listen to this without them in, with them in. That's a lot dirtier. So you got how much saturation you want. The frequency range, right? You can like really make it dark, or if you want the full frequency range there. You can enable a high pass filter, which I think leaves the bass frequencies alone. You can add some like even movement to the saturation. It's a little bit more wobbly. And you can switch between tube and drive saturation. The drive is going to be a little bit harsher. And if we turn up reel to reel, we're going to hear more of that noise. You can have cassette noise. So if you want to get some of that vinyl crackle for something lo-fi, you can get that here. Can you have a chorus control? Or you can keep it, you know, really subtle. Cool free plugin number 7 for creating synthwave music is Crush, and this is a bit crushing plugin, but it does so much more than that because you can have basically LFOs and automation built into it. And it also has just tons of really cool presets that you can cycle through. But I have it here on, I think this is like a bass actually. Yeah, that 80s 8-bit bass. So if I turn this off, we'll hear what this sounds like. Now with Crush in, so that's pretty cool. So you can get so many cool retro sounds out of this. So obviously a lot goes a long way. But I like to kind of sprinkle this on as like a cool effect on different things here and there. And it can sound really cool. Especially if maybe you automate it in and such. By the way, if you want to know more about bit crushing and how to actually apply bit crushing, because let's face it, bit crushing is amazing, sounds really cool, but it can be hard to sometimes think practically how to use it without just mangling your whole track. Well, I have a video covering the 7 coolest ways to use bit crushing in your tracks. I'll have that linked in the description below, so be sure to check that out after this video. So Crush is a really cool plugin. We can use that on a lot of different things, but I like to use it here on this bass in this track. Plugin number 8 is Valhalla Supermassive, and this gets you really cool, spacey, unique reverb and delay sounds. And so I'm using it right here on my lead, and I'm using a lead synth delay, the preset here. So listen to this lead without it in, then with it in. So it just makes it a little bigger, a little spacier. Oh, by the way, I also have Crush on here. I forgot to mention that, but I've got Crush on this as well. This lead, so without Crush in. So it's adding like a digital sand. That's what the preset is called. That's like exactly like what it sounds like. It's just adding a little digital grittiness to it, which makes it sound like almost cheaper, but in a good way. It helps it kind of cut through the mix, which is pretty cool. But Valhalla Supermassive is so cool. You can use that on so many things. I think I have it. Yeah, I have it on these like plucks here too. We can hear what these can do. These are really cool. So that's with no Valhalla. So you're hearing those little delay there, but you can also do like reverb. See, there's so many cool reverbs in here. So there's like 80s space verb. So that's really cool. So it really like swells up nice and slowly. So it's really cool for creating like a cool spacey sound there. Obviously, this can be too much a lot of the time, so you gotta be really careful with it. But that's why I like to have this like EQ here, so we can cut out those lows so it's not gonna get too muddy. And of course, you got the mix knob. You can put it on a bus. You can use automation. One downside about this is it doesn't have like that ducker control. So maybe another thing you might want to do is if you put it on a bus, sidechain compress it so it's only coming in the gaps, so it's not playing while the dry signal is playing. But overall, this is a really cool free plugin that has so many cool things you can do. Not only that, does it have delays, reverbs, but it's also got really cool effects and mod controls as well. So there's so much you can do with this. Definitely encourage you to check it out. In fact, I did a full tutorial on this, on how to use it, and kind of went through all the different presets. So if you want to check it out, I'll have that linked in the description below as well. Awesome plugin. Number 9 is the Tau Filter 2, and that's what you see here. And you can do so many cool things with this tool. This is a preset I'm using it called LP Tremolo, and I'm again adding it to this bass sound here. So we'll listen to it without and then with it in. So it kind of tames that sound a little bit, because that sound was kind of really harsh, but it also puts some cool artifacts on it that sound just more cheap, vintage sounding. I don't know how else to describe it, but this is really cool. And there's so many other cool effects in here. Let's just try some of these presets. So this might be another cool thing to put on like a bus, an aux track, and then you bus it to that so that you get a parallel. So you have the dry, but you can like blend in the wet that has this filter on it, so it's not completely mangling your sound unless that's what you're going for. So this is actually pretty cool. Control the depth. Cut off. Stereo. Now you can really hear it panning left and right. That's really cool. So that's pretty cool. Now, before I share with you the 10th and final free amazing effect plugin for creating synthwave music, I just want to let you know that this video is sponsored by my course, Synthwave Mastery. This is my step-by-step, end-to-end system for creating amazing pro-sounding synthwave music from home using the plugins and gear you already have. I walk through everything you need to know to create synthwave music you're proud of and love listening to over and over again, starting with sound design. It goes into how to create your own synthwave sounds, into how to write a synthwave song from start to finish, and I even cover how to go about mixing your song so it has that amazing professional yet vintage sound, including how to basically turn your DAW into an analog recording studio. So much great stuff in there. If you're, looking for a way to finally produce the synthwave music you're proud of that matches up, can stand toe to toe with your favorite synthwave artists, then I highly recommend this course. If you want to learn more about it, just click in the description below or go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/synthwave. All right, plugin number 10 is this IVGI2 by Clayhelm. So this is really cool. So you've got the drive here. So obviously that's the much saturation. Then you have the asymmetrical mix. Basically, the more you turn it up, the cleaner, the more like even harmonics I believe you're going to be getting. And then the lower, the more on harmonics, which are a little bit more distorted. You got your output, and then you've got your response. So you can choose to kind of where you're going to saturate. Are you going to saturate kind of like just neutral, the whole sound, or you want to focus on the high frequencies or the low frequencies? So I'm doing kind of the high frequencies here. Not the really high frequencies, but kind of the high mids on the drums here, just to kind of add some extra sizzle to those. Trying to keep it a little bit cleaner, and then just keeping a subtle on the drive here. Then we want to make sure we're kind of hitting at 0 here. That's going to make sure the plugin performs the best. So let's listen to it on these drums without it in and with it in. So it really helps the tops there of, the hi-hats and the snare and everything, kind of helps those to poke through a little bit more. So we'll see if you can notice it with in the whole track. Yeah, I definitely feel like you can hear those drums, the tops of those drums, those transients kind of poking through a little bit more, makes them a little bit more present. So this is really cool. Again, you don't just have to use this on drums. You can use it on anything you want to add a little bit of extra saturation to. I mean, that's kind of been most of these plugins have been focusing kind of on saturation, because is so important to synthwave music and 80s, creating 80s style music. So if this has been helpful, then be sure to check out part 1, because I actually did another video a while back covering a bunch of other amazing free effect plugins for creating synthwave music. So go ahead and check that out now on the screen. And if this video has been helpful, go ahead and hit that like button as well. With that, I'll see you in the next video. Have an awesome day and keep creating.